Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today and taking a little bit of time out of your day to hear a little bit of what God is doing, both right here in the Greater Springfield area, but also around the world. I'm so excited to be able to share some stories specifically about what God has done during the summer of 2023. When a handful of baseball coaches got the chance to go over and do ministry with our FCA staff in the Dominican Republic. And so I'm really excited to have what I would probably consider the dream team with us today. It was pretty awesome to get to spend a week doing ministry with these guys and get to see God use them in a mighty way. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing them share a little bit about their experience and their trip to the Dominican Republic in August, and really looking forward to just hearing from them. And so we've got David Anderlich, who is the head baseball coach at New Covenant here in Springfield, and also Jeff Richardson, who's a little bit outside of Springfield now. He's out in Houston, Missouri, but really excited for these two guys to be joining us. Unfortunately, our whole team was not able to be a part of this little meeting, as we also had Tyler Henry, who is the baseball coach over at Evangel University. Unfortunately, he had some obligations to take care of and wasn't able to be on here and join us. But we're really excited to hear from both Jeff and David and all the things that God did through them and our team. And so with that, just to kind of provide a little bit of context and introduction, is this trip really was a support trip for coaches from the Greater Springfield area to travel to the Dominican Republic and be able to just support our FCA staff that work in and around the different communities within the Dominican Republic, with and connecting with coaches and athletes and getting to do different things that honestly we get to do here in the U.S. as well. Our strategy of doing ministry is very similar in the sense that our strategy here is the same as what they do in the Dominican Republic, where it really is to and through the coach. We first want to minister to coaches, and then through their influence and platform, we want to see them empowered to then go do ministry themselves. And so that was where this trip was really pretty cool to see, because for us here, we were able to see this team of baseball coaches empowered themselves to go and do ministry in the Dominican Republic and really minister to those coaches that were over there. And so if you wouldn't mind maybe talking a little bit about the things that we did as a team. And so that's something, maybe some things that stood out to you. Jeff, maybe we'll start with you on just some things that stood out as far as just an overview of what the trip looked like.
Sure. I think for me, the really cool thing was how quickly God brought this together. This was something that got brought together within a couple months, and taking a mission trip, and especially a baseball mission trip, had been on my heart. And so then I kind of got paired with three random dudes that love Jesus and baseball, and away we went. And so, just God working in that way, where immediately out of my comfort zone of not having anybody that I see on a day-to-day basis, and then go into another country. Right from the get-go, God said, "Hey, this isn't going to be a comfort trip. This is going to be something for me."
Yeah, that's so cool to see. So, David, what about you? What's something that maybe stood out to you, just kind of from a full overview of what this trip looked like?
Well, yeah, so I kind of joined in pretty late. I know you were a little short on coaches, and you said, "Hey, I wonder if Dave's available." And it was funny when you first asked me. I was just like, I can't go. I got this and that. And then I was like, why not? It's like God's calling, I'm going. So I just looked at it as that simple, and that just kind of pared it down to just call and answer. So then was cool just to be able to go and, like you said, minister to coaches, talk to coaches, really get a feel for what they are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, what their goals are versus what our goals are, and how we train kids and how we try to train teams and get them ready to play the game and play the game well. The level of kids that we get, just everything very, it was just very unique experience, and just learning their culture, their baseball culture, their coach versus player culture, like all of that was just so eye-opening. And I really enjoyed hanging out with you guys and just traveling all over, talking Jesus, talking baseball, and meeting a lot of great coaches along the way. It was a great trip.
Yeah, that's so cool to hear, because that's something truly FCA here in the Greater Springfield area. I've gotten the chance to lead multiple trips to the Dominican Republic, but they've all looked completely different than this. Usually, we're taking teams over, full teams, where we're playing games, getting to do some special things, youth clinics, just some stuff like that. Whereas really through this trip, we were able to talk to our FCA director in the Dominican Republic, Miguel, and he was kind of brainstorming some ideas with me as we were preparing for this trip. And he was mentioning about how there had never really been an opportunity for coaches from the United States to come over and really invest in coaches from the Dominican Republic. And so that's where we really were able to start kind of this idea, which was cool because yeah, I mean, if you look at the group of four coaches that we took, I mean, I think some of us had been around each other for a little bit, and just like a small amount of time, but ultimately we were all fairly new to each other, and really didn't know each other very well. And so that was what was so cool to me, looking back and just seeing the cool things that God did through our team, and just the fact that he brought us all together in truly a short amount of time was just amazing. And that's even one thing, thinking about talking to our translator, Josue, and he was just like blown away after, I mean, we were probably 4 or 5 days into the trip, and he found out that this was the first time that most of us had met each other. And he was just blown away. He's like, no way, there's no way that that's even possible. And it's just one of those things that I think is cool, because that's just how the Holy Spirit just really just was so intertwined in our group. And I thought that was pretty cool. So it's amazing. So what were your expectations going into the trip? I know none of our group, outside of myself, had been to the Dominican Republic before. There were a couple of guys. This was the first mission trip experience, different things like that. I would be curious to know, like, what were your expectations going into this trip?
Well, I'll start with this. So I was talking to my wife about it before we were leaving, and she's like, "What are you doing in the Dominican with baseball? Like, I don't understand." And I said, "Well, we're ministering to coaches, and we're going to do a coaches clinic for the coaches." So she's like, "So let me get this straight. You're going to go to the Dominican and teach the coaches that are training the best players in the world, and you've got something to tell them." And I'm like, "Should I take that personally, or I've got someone coming into my classroom right now?" Oh, whoops, sorry. I'm on a Zoom meeting, so that's okay. Sorry. They tried to shut me out. But she just thought it was funny. And I was like, well, when you're going to put it like that, like, yeah, I don't know what to expect now. I thought I had a concrete plan in my brain, and then God's like, well, we're going to shift that up a little bit. I'm going to use your wife to kind of humble you a little. And so from that point on, I was like, I have no idea. I honestly had no expectation, except just kind of go with the flow and follow Cody's lead and go from there. So
yeah, the funny thing is that I had the same conversation with my wife, where just about like what do you teach these coaches that are already dealing with high level players? And I'm like, awesome question, we're about to find out. But
exactly,
man, yeah, my idea of what was happening changed the more we continued to have conversations. And I'm with you, David, where Cody gave us a lead of like, here's what it's going to look like. And I still didn't believe what he said. Like when you told us they lack an organization. And I was like, yeah, right. Like, surely they have a plan. And that was the truth. Was it just got revealed to me a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. I think the aspect I wasn't quite anticipating, I was thinking our interactions with other coaches were going to be the true blessing, the true ministry. But what I really found was the FCA staff members down there that we got to we got to speak with, and we got to share our hearts with. Those were some of the best conversations that I had, and you could just see the encouragement they were getting from us being there and having somebody that's fighting the same fight as them. And once again, in a baseball capacity, could speak that and help them draw in coaches for them to then minister to. Like, that was the aspect, that was the angle I wasn't anticipating. I was just anticipating the true conversation with coaches.
Yeah, that's such a really good point. Because truly, like, that was kind of what I was thinking. I was really going into it, really expecting to have a lot of intentional conversations with coaches that we were interacting with, in which we did have. I mean, that was what was cool, is to see those interactions take place. But truly, what I wasn't expecting was exactly what you said, is just hearing from our FCA staff, being able to know the encouragement that was bringing them, because truly, that, again, it goes back to, it really was just a support for them, to be able to connect coaches to the ministry that maybe haven't been connected before, or coaches that have been connected to FCA and the DR, but they just really needed encouragement. And we were able to provide that, and provide the tools and resources, because, yeah, I mean, just like you said, David, is there really isn't a whole lot of ability to have that professional development for those coaches in the DR. Like, I think about in the world of the United States, like, there's coaches conventions, there's different trainings that you can go through to kind of develop a lot of this knowledge and skill to be able to teach your players. But really, there's just not a whole lot of that. And so for us to be able to go in and provide some of that support, I thought was pretty cool. For sure. So, like, how did that change then? Like, that was your expectation going in. How did that change kind of throughout the trip as we went, kind of over the course of the week that we were there?
Yeah, well, so my 2 cents going in was bunt defenses, which I thought was just, brilliant. I'm gonna bring bunt defenses to the Dominican Republic, and how to use bunt offense to win games. And it did not take long before I realized, halfway through, I think Cody doing outfield drills, I'm like, there's no way I'm talking about bunt defenses with these guys. Like, they could care less. I think at one point Jeff and Cody or Jeff and maybe Tyler were taking account every time I'd ask, so who here teaches bunt defenses? And like, I heard a cricket, and so it's just not on their radar, and it's not a judgment in any way, shape, or form. It's just the way it was. And so I get up to teach about bunt defense. I'm like, well, I'm making a hard left here, and just kind of wrapped up what the guys were saying, and just kind of talked about the differences between the goals, and we just want to support you, and we can probably learn as much from you as you can learn from us. And but just, like, again, just encourage and let them know that, hey, you guys are doing the right thing, and we're just here to support you in any way we can. So that was where my expectation shifted real quick with what I thought I was going to bring to the table. So
yeah, no doubt. I mean, that was something, like, I had been there a couple of different times. I mean, and it's one of those things, like, getting to the point of really understanding culturally what makes sense and what works. That even was something that I learned a lot while being down there. But that's, I think, just such a cool emphasis. I mean, just to kind of go into that with you, David, is I felt like really did lean into the spirit when it came to that. and your stuff at the end of all of our clinics was just phenomenal, and tying everything together and really just being able to lay the gospel out and talking about unity in the body of Christ, and the fact that even though we're here in the US, we're Americans, they're there in the DR, but this idea of the gospel is what unites us, and talking about that was just incredible. And so that was pretty cool, something that stood out to me for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think for me, just as it went along, I felt like kind of what I was teaching changed each session. I remember the first session after we got done, Cody and I, us talking for like 15 minutes on how we adjust it, because the pitching stuff I was teaching was just falling on deaf ears. And I'm like, man, that did not go well. And, just
I
kind
learned
of
a lot.
dusting.
So,
What's that?
I learned a lot. I enjoyed it.
Hey, at least it worked for you, David.
Exactly.
I mean, you did try to hire me by the end of it. So
I gave it a go. I had a $2,500 stipend coming your way, but whatever,
But and then by the end of it, our last stop, I think it was in Boca Chica. That was the best conversation I had with any group. Just conversations that we had, and just thought processes that their coaches were having, and very similar to ours, and wondering, how pitching was going to be affected by the pitch clock, and just the openness they came at after that. It just had to evolve with each place we went. So not only did it change as we went to a different country, but then as we went from town to town, it changed as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What were some of those takeaways? I mean, you look at the different clinics. We did 5 clinics in 4 days, and just kind of the different aspects of how truly each community was completely different in the culture and the style, and really it dictated how we led our clinics. But was there one big takeaway that you guys had when it came to those 5 different clinics that we led?
I would say, let's see, I'm trying to remember where we went. Where was when we were at that like Olympic training center? Which town was that? I'm drawing a blank.
La Romana.
Yeah, it was
La Romana. To me was my favorite place, and even though there wasn't a lot of pitching conversation, just lots of individuals expressing how truly blessed they were that we were there. That was the first moment where I really realized how appreciative they were of us coming down to share with them. And not that we didn't feel other places, but it was just a continued thank yous and being prayed for. And I think that was still the place that sticks out to me as the moment where I was like, man, like God's moving here. Like this is like he's really here right now. And it wasn't based on anything we thought. It was just us taking time out of our lives to come down there and talk to them about Jesus and baseball. Just totally impacted them.
Yeah, and I was I'd mentioned unity before, and that was really my big takeaway. Just how amazed I was that the culture we're from, whether it's our regular culture or our baseball culture, and the culture they're from, and all these differences in how we train kids and what our end goals are with training kids, and all of that, we could have easily gone separate directions and really not had much in common. But it truly was the gospel that was at the center of really our interactions. And just to hear them talk and hear how they put Jesus first in their programs. And it's really cool. We even got like the hat and shirt that the one guy gave us, and it's it's De Iglesia. It's about Jesus on their insignia. It's talking about God and who they're representing. And so I walked away just going, we've got all these differences and we're not different at all. We're our ultimate goal is the same. We want to bring kids up to be great, productive citizens and Christians and to love God and to love others. And So when you walk away with that takeaway, like the rest of it just kind of, it just takes care of itself.
Yeah, that's so cool to hear. I appreciate you guys sharing. Um, as we kind of wrap some things up and kind of put a bow on this conversation, I'm just so cool, and I love being able to kind of reconnect and kind of reminisce a little bit, even though this was just a couple weeks ago. Just being able to hear from you guys. But I would love to hear just something maybe that God has used during that trip that He's working on you and teaching you in this moment, and just kind of what that looks like. And so, is there one thing that God taught you on the trip that He's kind of still working on you with, or kind of left you with from our time in the Dominican?
I think for me, it's just being grateful. And I think if I could come back with one word from our trip, it's just grateful. Experiencing people that are worldly less fortunate than me, that are so excited just for another day to see people, to praise Jesus, the gratefulness they bring every day. I hope I bring that 30 minutes out of my day, the excitement they have just to be around, and how welcoming they are. But yeah, when I look back on my trip, grateful is the word that I came away with, and I've just tried to take that into each of my days as far as what I have, being more appreciative of, and truly being grateful for it.
Yeah, I had to laugh. I was just going through like some pictures from the trip, and I came across a video when we were at in Higuey. We were doing the youth camp, and I had taken a video of the field walking around, I just remember watching kids pick up rocks, and like, okay, it's like their daily task, picking up rocks and clearing the field. And one day in 2078, that field will be clear of rocks, and it's the goal of the coach. It's his dream. And at one point, I think Jeff said, if I hear one more kid back home say, "Oh, I took a bad hop," like I'm done. I'm not gonna. And I made me laugh. And I was as I was looking at that video, I was like, "Oh, Jeff," I could hear Jeff's words. But yeah, I think flexibility. Like I was thinking about like how I deal with parents and parent issues when the parents are so involved, and which is good. You want parent involvement. And then I think we were all struck when we went to the game on that one Saturday, and the kids were out there playing, having a good time. And the coach, I don't even know if the coach knew a game was going on. He's over there talking to some kids, and they're out there playing, and how many outs we got, and who knows. And kids are having a great time. They're just out there playing, trying to show off their skills, get a little bit better. And Jeff mentioned, he like, look around. There's like not one parent. There's not one single parent out here. It's just the kids out here playing ball. The coaches are here kind of, semi-monitoring, but it's just kids playing ball. And there's no pressure. There's no car ride home, and no angst. And so when I'm talking to parents, I just want to have that flexibility of just being able to see from their point of view, and just be able to come with some calmness and say, hey, it's going to be okay. Your kid's going to be fine. And there's no stress in that. Let's just work on getting your kid better, and at the game, but most of all, just in his relationship with Christ and his relationship with others. And so I guess maybe flexibility is what I started with. I think I'm really gearing more towards like patience. Just it's so much easier to have some patience when you kind of see, there's really maybe a better way to do it, or a different way to do it. And I think that they kind of showed a neat model for training and working with kids that I'm kind of using, hopefully, some of that in the way I coach.
Yeah, that's really cool. That was something, again, just culturally, that kind of struck me is again, I've been there 4 times, but really this trip just kind of changed my perspective on what things are really about from a cultural standpoint in the DR. Whereas again, here, our mindset is truly like, let's get our kids games. Like, they got to play games. They got to really have that competition. They got to participate in all of these things, because the games and the competition, that's what's going to make them better. And then there I look at it and I'm like, well, literally some of the best players in the world come out of the Dominican Republic, but culturally, games are like a special treat. This isn't something that's just normal that happens all the time. Their mindset is, their perspective is, we have to practice. We're going to practice, practice, practice. And that's truly what we're going to do in order to get better and develop. And that really just kind of struck me as something like I think about 1 Timothy 4:8, right, where it talks about for physical training is of some value, but godliness has value for all things, holding promise for both the present life and the life to come. And I think about that, and I think about that culture, about how practice is truly why they play the game. I mean, they play baseball to practice, essentially. And I think about how that has helped them develop in such a way that has produced some of the best baseball players in the world. And then I think about how our faith is really the same way. Like, why is it that I take it for granted to be able to open my Bible and read Scripture and have fellowship with other like-minded believers and things like that, and really take this idea of practice completely for granted. Like, I don't do it as much as I can or as much as I need to in order to be close to God. And so I think about just the practice that those guys put in. And again, how physical training is definitely of some value, but at the same time, like, in the same sense of them working so much to practice on the game of baseball and just practice, practice, practice. In that same sense, like, I need to do the exact same when it comes to my faith. I need to kind of get my nose down and grind it out and really work out my faith in Scripture and digging in and studying and having fellowship and things like that. And that truly is what I felt like God kind of wanted to teach me, almost in kind of that period. And so it was a pretty cool moment in that sense too. So yeah, with that, is there anything else that you guys would want to share just for the next couple minutes, or anything at all? If not, we'll sign
Bien,
this thing
bien.
off.
Yeah, exactly. That was a great moment.
Oh man, yeah, those inside jokes, man. I just love it. I'm
That's right,
I'm
man.
not even gonna dive into it. They can wonder
No.
what that was about. That's it.
No, man. You really hit home with that one, Jeff. I'll tell you. No, I would say that, if anyone out there who's watching this is considering a trip, or someone's asked them, or their church is talking about it, like, just, there's so many things you could worry about and so many reasons to say no. But truly, there's just so much value to gain with going on your own, and just being with a group of people that maybe you do know or don't know, and just getting to know people. I don't think I've laughed as hard during that trip in a long time. I don't even know what we were laughing about. I literally, I was just as you were talking, I was trying to think, what were we laughing about? I have no idea. We were just dying in the room a few times, and but yeah, I don't even know. But just to be used by God, and just, we have a million reasons why we would say no, but just say yes and go and support a great mission like FCA or whoever you're going to support down wherever you're going to go and meet like-minded people and hang out with them and draw closer to God and wherever God's leading you. So I would just encourage you, just go and carve your own path out there.
Yeah, I think David, that's so well said. I probably shouldn't even try to say any more past that. But I, just looking back again, like how God made all of this come together. Like, I had to get a passport in 10 weeks or something like that. Like, everything just fell right into place. And then just going and I prayed for two things. I prayed for a heart for the country. And then I prayed that we would form a brotherhood amongst the coaches going down there. And both of those were answered so well. And I think when we truly do just let God work and let ourselves get out of the way, I think not really having expectations was kind of a great thing, because then and then even the little bit we did get from Cody, after one time, it's like, well, that, like my presentation didn't work, so like scratch that.
The BNB
So,
is excellent.
Yeah, but just going to where you're just like, all right, God, move, like show me something and be here, and then getting to look back on it with something like this. And for whoever was involved in helping this trip happen, I thank you, because you've changed my life forever. You've gave me 3 brothers that I would have seen in heaven at some point, but now we get to hang out on earth a little bit. But I'm, once again, as I said, my word, I'm truly grateful for all of you that support FCA. And we always think of the impact it makes on our athletes, but you truly do impact coaches as well.
Yeah, that's so cool. So cool. Thank you guys so much for sharing. I really do appreciate your heart. I appreciate your willingness to be a vessel and be used by God, and just the platform that you have to use your influence, because you have it and you use it wisely. And just so thankful for the gospel impact that you guys make each and every day. And truly, truly do appreciate each one of you guys. And so with that being said, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this conversation, and for joining us for the last few minutes. And I guess until next time, we'll see you guys later.